Hi, and welcome to another edition of Meet the Mayor. And luckily, once again, the mayor has decided to come and talk to us, and we appreciate that. Good to see you, Mr. Mayor.
Good to see you, John. Always happy to come by and talk about issues that are going on within the village.
Terrific. Well, let's start, we got a lot of stuff today. Let's start with the speed cameras. I think we have a photo. I'm gonna put that, there we go. So here is what a speed camera looks like. And why don't you tell us where we are in terms of the village using them and
Yeah, so
proposal?
obviously, and we all have this issue on the east end of Long Island, we have people using the back roads as bypasses to the main highway. And it's really not safe because we have pedestrians, we have kids on bikes, and so the roads aren't really meant to be used as bypasses, and people are speeding because they're trying to beat the traffic on the main highway.
Correct.
I mean, we're all guilty of it, we all do it. However, the way to try to stop this is you could do what Sagaponic has done. Sagaponic has put speed humps on all their roads, which is very, very costly for the municipality and the taxpayers. So other communities are using speed cameras, such New York City just received state approval to use speed cameras throughout the city, anywhere they want to deploy them. Prior to getting that approval, you could only use them in work zones and school zones.
Correct.
But New York City is the only one that has that authority right now. The state has only given it to New York City. I've asked Fred Thiel, and a couple of other mayors on the East End have asked Fred Thiel to look into getting the state to allow villages and towns to deploy speed cameras on our roads that we decide to put them on. So, for example, let's say we deployed them on Further Lane, which is used as a bypass to get to Amagansett and back. The speed limit's 25 miles an hour. So if you're going over 25 miles an hour, this speed camera will snap a photo of you and your plate, and you will get a summons in the mail. And I'm hoping that if we can get this legislation passed, this will go very far in reducing speeds on the back roads. Something that people don't realize, people who are not from the area, you know, with these traffic apps, if the traffic is backed up on Route 27, these apps will intentionally put people into side roads and back roads and through little neighborhoods. So by deploying these cameras, eventually the apps will not put you on those roads because the speed limit's going to be strictly enforced at 25 miles per hour. So in theory, you're not going to make the time you think you're going to make, and the app will know that, recognize that, and not direct people who are not familiar with the area onto the side roads.
So it's basically to keep them off the back roads, or at least to slow them down on the back roads.
Right.
Do you see them on Main Street at all? Is that a possibility too?
Well, that would depend on, so Main Street's a state road. So hopefully we can deploy them on the state roads too, but this is a big hurdle to try to get the state to allow us to do this.
Right, I understand.
So hopefully, you know, Fred Thiel's gonna work on this, and hopefully we have the support to get this done. This would be very helpful for all the communities on the East End.
Would be terrific.
Yeah.
Good. All right, well, I hope that works. The other thing is, I noticed that you had a mayor's roundtable recently. I think we have a photo of that too. Here you are.
Yeah, so when I
Why don't
took
you tell
off,
us a little about what this is about?
yeah, when I took office 3 years ago, I promised the businesses that we would help them improve the business district and make them more successful, which I think we have. We've opened up several new restaurants, and we see a lot more people walking around the village now. So this was a meeting I held with the business owners, the business managers, to see what the village could do better to help them be more successful. And again, sometimes there's regulations that we may not realize as a government that is hurting business. So by having these meetings, and we're gonna do them twice a year, we can hear from people and they can tell us how we can help them be more successful.
Did you hear any good ideas?
Actually, we did hear some ideas. We heard that they would like to increase the hourly parking on Main Street in Newtown. Right now, it's at 1 hour. They would like it to go to 2 hours. The issue, and just for people at home who don't know my background, I was in the police department for 34 years. My last 14 years in my career, I was the chief. So we've been dealing with this parking issue for a long, long time. Even though I've only been mayor for 3 years, I've been around for a long time. And the problem with allowing more time is that employees of the stores will park in those parking spots and then take up your customer parking. So at this business meeting, everybody agreed with that. So I think what we're going to do is charge for the second hour. Similar to what we did in the parking lot when we first took office, it was 2-hour parking. And the big complaint was that you can't go to a movie, you can't shop, you can't have lunch within 2 hours and not get a summons for $85. So we instituted paid parking. So you still get your first 2 hours for free, so it doesn't affect anyone who, is only gonna be there for an hour or two. You don't pay. But if you wanna stay for the third or fourth hour, you can pay $10 per hour.
I see, so you get 2 hours free.
Right.
Then pay for anything.
Anything above that you can pay, which has been working out very well. The municipality's making money. We're issuing less parking tickets, which makes us friendlier, in my opinion.
Yes.
And people have received it very well because if you're, getting your hair done, or you're in a restaurant, or you're in a movie, you can just, on the app, add the extra time you need.
That's terrific.
It's worked very well. So we're going to present this to our board, and we're going to try to get it passed before summer, that it'll be 1 hour parking for free, just like it is now. If you want to stay for additional time, you pay for the additional time.
I see. It seems
And I
reasonable.
think it's friendly, it works well, we make money, which is great, because we can put that money back into improvements in our downtown, which is what we've been doing. As you know, we've spent a lot of money on
Yes, you have.
improvements. So this would be another little fund that we can use to help us make improvements.
Terrific, terrific. I also understand you had a great idea of something called the East End Mayors Association. And I think we just have a little, here's a picture of your new logo, very nice.
Thanks.
So tell us about what this is, who's in it, and what do you hope to get out of it?
So there's an organization in Suffolk County called the Suffolk County Village Officials Association. And it's basically made up of officials, mostly mayors, of all of the villages in Suffolk County. And believe it or not, there are 32 villages in Suffolk County, so there's 32 mayors. So I'm on the executive board. I'm the treasurer right now. I'm moving up to third vice in April. And we have a monthly meeting with the executive board, and we provide training to municipalities, to all the villages in Suffolk County. And we get a lot of things done, but specifically for the East End, it's a little different. So what I proposed is that we have an East End Mayors Association, which would be made up of the 8 villages that make up the East End, from West Hampton, Greenport, East Hampton. There's 8 villages, so there's eight municipalities that have villages. So it's been very well received by the local mayors. So our first meeting is going to be in February. And we're gonna discuss different issues. I think we're gonna discuss the speed cameras. And we're gonna invite Fred Thiel to the meeting, so it should be very well done. There's already a similar organization, which is the East End Supervisors and Mayors Association, which meets every other month. So I'm the vice chair of that organization, and we meet and we discuss different issues. We have speakers, we talk about, it's a lot of training involved. It's a very good organization. It was created many years ago. But sometimes there's issues between towns and villages. So it would be nice to have just a village mayors association. So that's why it was created.
So the village mayors would discuss issues that are germane to the village, but may have some interaction with the town.
Correct.
Is that how that works?
Correct. So one of the issues that has been very sensitive to a lot of municipalities, a lot of villages, is the CPF fund. So in most situations, the villages are contributing most of the money.
Tell us what the CPF fund is.
So CPF money is a community preservation fund.
Correct.
It's a 2% tax on sales over, I think, 250,000.
Right.
And it goes into a kitty, and it's millions and millions of dollars. And it's used to buy open space. It's used to help correct water quality issues, sewer systems, things like that. So the towns, the 5 East End towns, manage these programs and divvy out the money as they feel fit. So the problem is that a lot of villages are contributing most of the money to that fund by sales that happen within the village. And we're only getting a small percentage back. So that is a sensitive issue to a lot of mayors on the east end of Long Island.
I would think that would be.
Right. Since most of the money is being
You're giving the money,
generated
that's
by
right,
the
you
village,
generate
but only getting a
funds.
small portion back.
Right.
So that's something that we're gonna discuss, and I know Fred Thiel is very sensitive to our needs, and he actually has a meeting today to discuss changes to the CPF, which obviously I can't attend because I have this and I have our board meeting at 11. But there's gonna be another one in January, so.
Well, that's interesting that, so there's also the issues of, I think, if I remember correctly, using the CPF is mostly for buying land.
Correct.
And you also want to get it, more of that to go to water quality and stuff, is that right?
Right, yeah, so right now, 20% of the overall fund can be used for water quality projects. And now they have the new little percentage for affordable housing as well. So we just want, I'm speaking for myself, we just want our fair share of that portion. And it would be nice to be able to use that money as the village feels that it should be used. So if I shouldn't have a limit on the water quality project money I can spend. And right now, we do.
So is it the town makes the rules? Is that how that works?
Yes,
Even though the village has contributed mightily to that?
correct. We have representation on their committee, but it's just one person.
I see. All right, well, that sounds like an interesting way to go about
Yeah,
it.
so I think there'll be changes made by the state, and I think it'll be a more fair program for everybody involved.
Good.
East Hampton has a very special relationship with the town, though, because we actually have a contract that the former supervisor and the former mayor, so it was Larry Cantwell and Paul Rickenbach, agreed to. So we actually have a guaranteed number that we get from the state, from the town.
Yeah.
So it's basically in an account for us, and the town is they have a great manager of their CPF program, and Scott Wilson. He does a great job. So basically, anything we would like to purchase, we are authorized to purchase.
Good.
However, the water quality issues is a state change that we need. Because water quality is more important now, at least in our village, than buying open space. We don't really have a lot of open space left to buy.
Right.
And any open space we have is millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Sure.
And CPF only lets you buy what the appraised value is of the land. So
you're paying full price.
Right.
On an appraised piece. And,
but we could fix so much of our water quality issues if we had access to that money. I think I have in the account something like $14 million right now that there's nothing to spend it on. So it just keeps building. But if I could use that money for water quality, it would be wonderful for us.
And you think that the Mayor's Association will be a vehicle to help you get some of that?
Yeah, I think the Mayor's Association would be very helpful in getting us things that we need specifically on the East End in our villages, such as the speed cameras. You know, there's power in numbers, as they say. And we have a very good relationship with some of the mayors in Nassau County as well, because they have a similar organization that we have. So I've made a lot of inroads with the Nassau County mayors as well. So they have some of their villages up in Nassau County also have similar issues that we're having with speeding through small residential neighborhoods, that the speed cameras would go a long way in reducing that problem. I mean, I just got another email today, people want these speed humps on every road in the village, and it's a lot of money. We did a pilot program and it was over $20,000 to put 3 sets of speed humps on a residential road.
Wow.
So to do this all through the village would really impact our budget as well. So we have to come up with another solution.
Well, it would impact your budget, and if the speed cameras work, it's, A, will stop them, and B, was a source of income.
Source of income for not only us, but the state.
So, and those are a lot cheaper to put up, I would guess, than
Absolutely.
speed humps. So
Right.
that seems to be a
Yeah, and they don't impede
more
plowing snow, and there's so many other issues that come along with them. And then maintenance and repair, and
sure.
so this would pay for itself.
They won't wreck the bottom of my car.
Right, if you hit it too hard, not realizing.
Speed bump, oh no,
Yeah, well, they don't call them speed bumps anymore, it's speed humps.
speed humps, so,
They have a much larger, they're gentler on the car than
right,
speed bumps.
they were longer
Yeah,
than
exactly.
the usual ones I
Right,
run
so-
into.
less chance of losing control of the car if you accidentally hit it at a higher speed than you should.
Right, but the speed cameras seem to be a more logical
It
solution
makes
to this.
perfect sense to me. And even if you have them up and you had a sign, that alone is going to reduce the speed immediately.
Sure,
So, immediate change.
that'd be great to do that. So that's the mirror. The other thing that I've noticed, what's come up is that, I see the basketball court, the Marbury basketball court is open, yes?
It is open. It is not complete, but it's open. In the spring, we are going to finish the painting. It's gonna be blue like our tennis courts.
Oh, wow,
It's gonna look very nice, and it will have an emblem in the center with the dedication to Mr. Mabry. And we'll do a dedication. We've talked to the family. We kind of put it off because it's not really complete. And they can't paint in this weather.
right.
So we have to wait till the spring, and then we'll do a formal dedication of the courts to the family. So it's really, they're beautiful though. They look great.
I know, I saw them the other day, I was by there. I think the whole park looks terrific.
Yeah, everything is shaping up so nice.
Is there any other improvements or anything to look forward to in the park?
No, not right now. We have nothing on the agenda. We still need to put a committee together. We need to start looking at what we need to do for the rest of the park. And, that's yet to be seen.
Good. Anyway, I think it looks terrific, and the courts are great.
Thanks.
I wish I could still play that. The other thing is, I know the fire and EMS protection agreements have been signed with the town.
Yes.
Tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, so the village provides ambulance and fire protection for areas in the town that are not covered by any other fire department or ambulance. So there's areas between, say, the village line and Amagansett Fire District, Springs Fire District, and Bridgehampton Fire District, and Sag Harbor Fire District. So there's an area of land, all of Northwest, that is not covered by any fire department or ambulance. There's no district. So the town contracts with the village to cover those areas that fall within the town. So those are called the Northwest Fire Protection District and the Water Supply District. And we've negotiated a contract. These two contracts have been in place probably since the 70s, I think. So we've just renegotiated a contract with them. It's a long-term deal. It's 2 years, automatic increases over the next 2 years. And the town board had a public hearing, they approved it, and I just signed the contracts yesterday. And we'll get the checks in February.
Good.
And a portion of that money is going to go to our fire department, and a portion goes to the ambulance, which is, they use that for their holiday parties and things like that. Their benevolent part
So
of
if
it.
I live in the Northwest District, the village will cover that area?
Yes, so if you live in Northwest or down by Cedar Point Park, anywhere in that area,
Right.
and you need an ambulance, East Hampton Village is the ambulance that
ambulance.
responds.
I see.
Same with fire. If you have a fire, God forbid, you would call 911, and that's who would
That's
be
what
coming.
you sent
And
out.
that's been that way since, I believe, the 70s. We went back that far with these contracts.
And so this is a new agreement that covers how many years?
2 years.
Two-year deal?
Yeah. And it's always been a 2-year deal, historically.
Terrific.
So it's really nothing new. It's just, with all the controversy that was going on, it's kind of big news that the town actually not actually, but the town has the confidence in us, even though there's been so much stirring up of the facts, that the town board saw through the nonsense and re-signed the contracts with us.
Good.
So,
Terrific, that's good. Speaking of contracts and lawsuits and things, I see that the ambulance, I think the old ambulance group is trying to get the right to sue you again, is that?
yeah,
Have I
so
got that right?
this is such a complicated issue, and how much time we have?
We got
6 minutes. I think I can do it. Okay.
Give
here
it
we
a
go.
shot, give it a shot.
So we have East Hampton Village, me, the government,
Right,
who is responsible to provide ambulance services. We're just gonna use ambulance services right now. Ambulance services to the village residents and any residents that live in the town that were contracted by the town to serve. So that is my responsibility, the village board. So there's been so much confusion with ambulance versus ambulance association. I'm gonna use a different I thought about this last night, knowing that we were gonna be talking about
Sure.
this. So I'm gonna use the Kiwanis Club. Maybe it's easier to understand.
Sure.
So me as the government, I hire the Kiwanis Club to run my ambulance operationally. And they have a contract with me and I give them money to run the ambulance service for me. So they have a president, they have a vice president, they have a treasurer, they have their own form of governing.
Right.
They have bylaws, which they have to follow. If they want to change the bylaws, they have to follow all their rules to change whatever they want to change. Okay. So now we're going along and I go to the president of the Kiwanis and I say, listen, I don't like the way you're doing certain things with my ambulance. I'd like you to change it.
Right. I'm sorry. So the village owns the ambulance.
Yes,
The
yes,
village owns the equipment.
yes,
And these people are hired, as it were,
right,
to run the equipment.
exactly.
But you guys, the government owns the
Right, so
stuff.
it's the government
And
responsibility.
you're a separate entity,
Right.
and there's a village separate entity.
Right, so the village is responsible to provide the ambulance services to residents.
Got it.
Just like we're provided police and fire and highway department services. Yes, we pay for all the ambulances, all the equipment in the ambulances, we pay for the paid personnel to support the volunteers, we pay for the electric, we pay for the building. The Kiwanis, using that as my example, doesn't pay for anything. And they get money so that they can then have events, they can take their volunteers on trips to the city, to plays, things like that. So they get a portion of money for the benevolent part of the organization. But I've hired the Kiwanis to run my ambulance. Okay, so now I go to them and I say to the leadership, listen, I don't like the way this is running. Could you change a few things? And they tell me no. And I know that my changes are gonna make the organization better. And I still get no. So I decide, with the cooperation of the village board, when I say I mean our whole
I
village
understand.
board. We remove the Kiwanis from operational, and now they are just a benevolent part. So we are still giving them money, they can still have their events, but they're no longer operational. So I create a new chief and a new assistant chief, and I create EMS. And I put them, now they're in charge of operational. The Kiwanis is still there, because all the members that are in EMS are part of Kiwanis. And they still, do all their functions, their
Right.
Christmas parties and all of that. So then what happens is when we made this change, a whole bunch of people quit and left. About 12 people quit. And they went to they went to Springs, or some of them just quit. And they were disgruntled. It's the only thing they didn't like what we were doing. So we still have the Kiwanis, right? They still have a president, a vice president, a whole board. So then this group decides that they're going to have a meeting. They're going, of the 12 that left, and they're going to oust the chief and the assistant chief of the Kiwanis. And now they are the new Kiwanis. So they decide they're gonna sue the village now, because they can't get the money from the old Kiwanis, which is really the real active Kiwanis.
Right.
They created this group illegally because in order to oust the chief and or the president and the vice president, you have to follow the bylaws of the Kiwanis, which they didn't do. So everything they've done is illegal, and we'll show this in court. But they claim they are the Kiwanis, and they are suing the village, or they're asking the court for permission to sue the village. And quite frankly, I know it's not good to have lawsuits brought against the village, but I would hope that the judge allows it to go forward, because we need to expose all of this nonsense to the public, so that, because if they're denied the right to sue, then they're gonna claim they're a victim,
Right.
that the village won't let them sue. I mean, I certainly can't say it's okay to sue. I can't waive our ability to do that. Wouldn't be fair to our taxpayers.
Sure.
But in my heart, I hope the judge lets them sue, because I would really like to expose all of this nonsense that they're doing. They're causing so much confusion in our community that people are actually not sure what is going on, and they're not sure, and they're afraid, especially some of our elderly people are afraid they're not going to get an ambulance if they call, which I am here to tell you that is the furthest thing from the truth. Our ambulance is running better than it ever has. our mutual aids are way down, like I explained to you last show.
Mhm.
And I'm very confident that, you know, anybody who calls an ambulance will get an ambulance. And I can say that more confidently now than in the past.
Terrific.
So,
Now, there was some question too about the money, some $300,000 that they say you, the town, the village rather, has taken from them, and that,
that's not true, and that's the confusion, because the real Kiwanis is still in place, and they have control of the money. Their president, their vice president, their treasurer, all the people that were there when that disgruntled group left are still there.
they're still there, and they still control that
They
money.
control all the money. It's in their bank account. Has nothing to do with the village. So it's really a difficult situation. And I have to say, this group has done a good job of muddying the waters, you know, and the newspaper has not really been able to untangle all of this and has actually added to some more of the confusion. So, you know, it is a confusing issue. So I'm not really pointing fingers at the Star reporter. He's doing the best he can, but it's a very complicated situation. But again, they've done a good job of muddying the waters. But that's why I'm hoping that we get our day in court,
So
because
that,
we will be able to show that they are nothing but liars and that what they're doing is illegal. And I hope we have that opportunity.
good, yeah, no, because the article is, makes it even more opaque, still what's
I
going
know,
on.
I
But it's
know.
very-
I hope it was somewhat
And as you
clearer.
explain it, you can see how.
And no disrespect to the Kiwanis.
No.
I'm a member, so I use the Kiwanis as my example, but if you tune in halfway through this, the Kiwanis is not suing the village. That'll be the next thing.
That's right, that'll be in the paper next week. Well, as usual, we have run
out
out
of
of time,
time.
we did it again.
Man, John, I'll tell you, it's.
Thank you so much, everybody out there, have a happy new year.
Yes, happy holidays.
And thank you so much,
Thank you. Thanks,
It's
John.
been fun to do, thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you.